Testimonies, but I know they'll beat me up, so I'm just going to give a few. The first one is around my daughter. During the pandemic, we were home, locked down. You guys know how it was in the US. And so she was not doing well psychologically because, we're all on lockdown. And so I was very worried about her one day, and I sent a prayer request to pray with Pastor Jerry. At that time, it had become my practice. Anything bothering me, I'll just go and report to Pastor Jerry on email. And then my daughter started joining NSPD with me. She would do it in her room. In my house, when it's time for NSPPD, everybody is in their corner kabashing. So she started joining NSPPD, and she had a hook in her neck. She couldn't turn her neck. She was in so much pain. And so one day during NSPPD, she just heard pop, 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 and the neck loosened itself. And that was her own evangelism. I didn't have to preach to my daughter. Right now, she's watching because she has never missed any NSPPD, any day. She doesn't miss services. She's online on every day watching. And from there, she became very serious with her academics, started doing well. In 1 year, she was able to clear all her classes, something that should have taken her like 2 years. She was able to graduate at 19. She got an internship working with senators to change legislation. And based on that, she was able to get an award at her graduation, where she even gave a speech at her graduation, which was a really big deal. And so I'm really grateful for God. And then on top of all that, she wrote the LSAT for the first time. She didn't study. I'm like, go write the LSAT. You're going to law school. She wrote it the first time and got admitted to one of the best law schools in the US. So I just want to give God praise for that testimony. And then the next testimony is around my husband. Okay, so we built a house in the village. You guys know how village people act. As soon as we dedicated that house, something started happening. My husband would leave the house and get lost. 7 times he left the house like that. He would come, I would just get a call from cops. Somebody found my husband wandering somewhere. It didn't make any sense to me. I didn't understand what was going on. And then one day when I was sleeping in the midst of all this turmoil, I was watching the service actually on a Sunday because we always join to watch. And then while I was watching the service, I slept off. And then I had an encounter. Papa was telling me, Pastor Jerry was telling me in that dream, this will be the last time it happens. And after this time, it will be a new story for you. Because by then, all I was busy doing was looking for my husband one place to the other. It was a real turmoil. And when I woke up from that dream, I now went downstairs. Indeed, my husband was again lost. I now found him. And that was the very last time that happened. And then the next testimony that I had was, we live up north in the US, and I was looking to move to Houston because I wanted to be able to attend Streams of Joy in person since they have one in Houston. So I started dreaming of buying a house in Houston and moving. So I found a house that I really liked, but honestly, my credentials were not good to be able to buy that house. But I still tried. I said, let's move in faith and let's see whether it will happen. After we did everything on a Friday, I had found out that this was not going to happen. My loan officer, the mortgage officer had told me all these issues were going on, so it was not going to happen. Then I joined service on Sunday. That was during our 21-day prayer and fasting. And then Papa declared, he said, 32 hours from now.
Somebody hear me as I hear the Lord. The Lord said, in 32 hours, what you have waited on, at the sound of your amen, it will become your evidence. Receive it right now.
And I grabbed that word and I ran with it. And I did the math, I calculated. 32 hours from that moment was 8 a.m. US time. And I was waiting by my phone. At 8 a.m., my mortgage officer called me and said, I have waived all conditions for you. We are closing today. And that is how I was able to buy my house and move with my family to the church in Houston. And as soon as I got to the church in Houston, I plugged into the church, got involved in house fellowship. And then my house fellowship leader turns to be a crazy NSPPDian as well. And she had just come back from Nigeria. She helped me, not just buy that house. I have now bought another house, and I have 2 more houses I'm closing on this week. And then my very last testimony. So when I first joined Streams of Joy, every time I join now, women in your 30s, 40s, and 50s carry your baby.
Why am I hearing that women in their 50s are carrying their babies? Why am I? It's a kairos moment. It's a kairos moment. We spread it to women in their 40s. Carry your babies. We spread it to women in their 30s. Carry your babies. There is nothing hard for the Lord to do. Carry your evidence.
And I'm like, what's going on here? So I kept listening, and I was like, maybe I should try again. Before now, I remember I talked about my daughter who graduated. By that time, my first child was 19. My second child was about 7. And between 19 and 7, I really struggled to have that son. In fact, I had him based on word of knowledge and stuff. So for me, it was like a dream to even think about trying to have another kid. But I'm like, God can do it. My area of scarcity can become my area of a surplus. So maybe I should try again. My daughter said, are you crazy? Why are you doing this now? And indeed, I conceived. when I was pregnant, I had my son was breech, and I had a lot of pain. And so one day during this pregnancy, I said, God, please help me. You know, I'm not that young. At this time, I was 49. And so on that day, Pastor, I prayed a prayer. I'm like, God, please help me. I'm in a lot of distress. Can you just deliver me from this? Then Pastor Jerry gave a word. I was watching SVP when that happened. Pastor Jerry said, there's a woman here. Your baby is breech. I command that baby right now to turn around.
Allow me to declare this. They say your baby is lying breech. I decree and declare, let that baby return back normal. Let that baby return back normal. Right now. Right now.
And I received that word because at that time my son was breech and he was crushing my lungs and everything. The next day when I went to my ultrasound, they now found out that he had spawned and he was no longer breech. He was now cephalic, which is head down. And that day I delivered my babies. And not only did God give me one baby at 50, I had twin babies at 50. The beauty of it is that I was a woman who for 12 years, I cried every time I saw my period because I was trying to have another child. Now I have 2 boys and 2 girls. And when people who know me come to my house, they are like children everywhere. One woman told me, your husband must be very happy. You've poured children on him like a camel. I just want to give God praise to this God that not only gives us what we need, but he gives us a surplus. He takes us from a place of a scarcity to a place of a surplus. What God cannot do does not exist.